Humanity needs to harness the abilities of being able to ascend vibrationally, spiritually, telepathically, you name it, in order to excel the human race. Those withers, and we look at writings and people going to heaven and flying amongst the skies. Now, when we look at that, could we say that some of them transcended, vibrated into a certain frequential state where they in fact entered another dimension using frequencies and vibrations? Why are certain pieces of land harnessing gravity in a very different way and harnessing magnetic frequencies and vibrations in very different ways? And could it in fact be a gate or a doorway to another universe?
This footage shows the horizontal energy lines which blanket all the land and all other hills. But when you reach the pyramid of the sun and the pyramid of the moon, those lines suddenly become vertical. In fact, in this video, it's been noted that some kind of unidentified craft is entering and leaving the actual boundary of the pyramid, perhaps interdimensionally. But that's a whole other subject and a whole other video for discussion.
It's all being cited and it's all here. I'll put up some of the articles on screen for you guys right now. So to understand what's going on here, we first have to establish the fact that there are certain pieces of land that are not marked on any map, and in some cases, believe it or not, are so small and condensed they're able to be taken away from maps within the public domain and public resources that harness gravity and magnetism. But could it in fact be harnessed through the use of technology and spirituality to teleport and for many other things? There's pieces of land all around the world that no one really knows has far less gravity than the rest of the world. No one knows why. Scientists have explained that it's very possible that certain meteors hit certain parts of the earth that literally bent gravity. That is one of many theories, and I think that's the only plausible theory that would be applied here. But what's even more interesting is the fact that the military is covering all of this up. Places where there is some type of anomalistic electromagnetic energy spike, like Skinwalker Ranch, Area 51, I mean, that's a bit of a different story, but you get the idea. The Navajo land, all this, the sacred land of the Skinwalker, all of that stuff has an abnormal amount of UFO sightings, or harness it as a use for teleportation. We've seen instances such as the Bermuda Triangle, or other instances where UFOs will literally go into a certain part of the world geographically that every other human has tried to go with, at least our public technology, has completely failed and disappeared. We've seen it all the time, these UFOs going into these places. Now again, whether or not it's human, military, or extraterrestrial, could be a little bit of both. With that being said, according to Inverse.com, scientists have long known that vibrating a medium, like a body of water, at just the right frequency can cause strange physical properties to arise. This is insane that this was their form of heaven, understanding that vibrations that can be harnessed at just the right amount of frequential tone is actually the gateway to different dimensions, and that is what we would define as heaven. Now, I'm not trying to disrespect any type of religion. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone's belief. All I'm trying to say here is that this may in fact be a possibility, and the fact that not too much information is coming out about this makes it that much more interesting. Now, when we look as well at Wired.com, what we're going to find here is that in 1996, and I quote, Russian emigre scientist Eugene Podkletnov was about to publish a peer-reviewed article in the respected British Journal of Physics proving that gravity could be negated if you harness the vibrations that's all around us right now. Then a London newspaper publicized his conclusions, and the skeptics had a field day. Everyone knew you couldn't mess with the law of gravity. Einstein himself had said so. Then what ended up happening to the scientist? He withdrew the article. The university he worked at, highly respected scientist, the university evicted him. He retreated from the public eye. Here's the thing about all that. He was onto something. And so what do you do when someone's onto something? You ridicule them. I've spoken about this many times. You ridicule them in the public eye. You disenfranchise them. You take away any type of reputation or credibility they've had. And even if you need to, you go a step further and you start doing the same type of damage psychologically and unfortunately possibly physically to that person's family as well. Because again, if they cannot buy you off, if they cannot kill you, because it would become too public, they suppress you. Very, very simple. Not that difficult to understand. We know that already. Now, if we also take a look at what's going on at these exact patches of land that are not even on any type of public map, but are within the large pieces of land that we know today to be places like Hudson Bay or Antarctica or things like that, we'll notice that there's military quarantine to a small degree all around these patches of land. Now, how long these patches of land stretch for is nothing crazy. You're talking maybe anywhere from 10 to 50 acres worth of land. Now, that is big, but relative to being able to keep things quiet in the grand scheme of things, both physically, geographically, and through the use of controlling the mainstream media, it's not that difficult to keep quiet. Let's put it that way. Now, when I say humans can fly, the fact that there is an increase in gravity or a decrease in gravity allows humans to fly. So the idea is that essentially, For example, if any of you have seen, I forgot what the movie's called off the top of my head. But long story short, he went to Mars, and this character was able to essentially have the ability to jump very substantially, very more strongly than that of the aliens on Mars. But the idea behind it is that this is in fact possible, and people have witnessed this. For example, if we take a look at the flying Mothman of Chernobyl, there is evidence to suggest that this is actually one of the areas where human flight in a certain way, through the utilization of gravity being harnessed or unharnessed in a certain way, is being tested there. And so these sightings may in fact be of humans disguised as other, I guess we can call them beings or something like this. For more than 40 years, experts were baffled by an anti-gravity zone surrounding the Hudson Bay area in Canada, with some conspiracy theorists even claiming the spot might be a portal into another dimension. End quote. Again, it's locked off. You can't go there now. I live in Toronto. I live in Canada myself. I'd be more than happy to go. I've tried to arrange schedules and to book to go. I tried just yesterday. Impossible. You can't do it. They don't even acknowledge that this piece of land exists. Humanity needs to harness the abilities of being able to ascend vibrationally, spiritually, telepathically, you name it, in order to excel the human race.